Assalamualaikum and hello!
Hello!
In this video, we are going to show how to install Dietpi OS on Raspberry Pi 3B+.
Hello, my name is Zurain. In this project, there are 5 parts. We need to complete the installation of the Dietpi on Raspberry Pi. I'm doing the first part of the project, which is downloading the image.
Hi, my name is KAMISAH. In this project, I'm doing part 2, which is setting the Wi-Fi on Raspberry Pi, and part 5, which is installing LXDE desktop.
Hello, I'm Nadia. I'm doing part 3 in this project, which is the hardware setting on Raspberry Pi.
Hello, my name is MAISARAH. I'm doing part 4 in this project, which is the first boot of Dietpi OS.
The first step in this project is we need to download the Dietpi image. For that, go straight to the internet and search the Dietpi website. In the website, select the download section and choose our single board computer, which is Raspberry Pi. Dietpi is a Debian-based Linux distribution which is purposely designed for single board computers such as Orange Pi, Raspberry Pi, or Android. After we're done with the download, we can extract the zip file. Next step is we need to install the software that will help us to write the image into the SD card. In this project, we use the HS software. Install the HS software to our computer before we can load the program. Then, insert our SD card into our PC. After that, select the image and SD card before we proceed to flash the SD card. In this step, we need to make sure that we choose the SD card correctly. This is to avoid any risk of data loss.
Part 2, we need to setting the Wi-Fi on Raspberry Pi. If you are using Ethernet, then you can skip this step and go to step 12, which remove SD card from PC and insert it into the Raspberry Pi. To set up the Wi-Fi, open the SD card folder in this PC, which is boot F. In this folder, search file name Dietpi.txt and open it with Notepad. In Dietpi.txt, search for auto setup net Wi-Fi enable equal to 0. Change the number of 0 to number 1. Then, save the file and exit. Next, we need to open Dietpi Wi-Fi.txt. Open it also with Notepad. In this part, we need to update the following 2 lines with Wi-Fi details. Replace my SSID with your Wi-Fi name and replace my Wi-Fi key with your password. After finish, save the file and exit. Lastly, before remove the SD card from the PC, we need to click eject that folder first. After remove the SD card, insert the SD card into the Raspberry Pi to prepare to boot for the first time. Now, let's move to the next part.
Moving on to the part 3. In this part, we are going to setting the Raspberry Pi itself before we start configuring the operating system into it. This is the Raspberry Pi 3 and the casing. We decide to use the casing to protect the Raspberry Pi from any damage, and we want to make sure that the wire connection among the Raspberry Pi and any devices will look more neat. The Raspberry Pi that we use is a Raspberry Pi 3 model B+. Then we will assemble the Raspberry Pi into the casing. After that, we need to insert the micro SD card into the micro SD card adapter. And we need to copy the image of Raspberry Pi from the PC that we have done in the previous part. After that, we eject the SD card from the adapter and insert it into the Raspberry Pi. We then need to connect the mouse cable, HDMI cable, into the Raspberry Pi. Then we need to prepare the HDMI monitor and plug in the cable from the Raspberry Pi into the input of the monitor. This is a micro USB, and we need to connect it to power the Raspberry Pi. And we need to turn on the monitor and Raspberry Pi will start booting. And we are done with part 3. Next, we will do booting in part 4.
Next part is the first boot of Dietpi OS. First, switch on the power supply and the HDMI monitor, and the software will automatically go through the initial setup and reboot. For example, it will expand the file system. After that, you will be prompted to log in. Use the default username root and the default password Dietpi to log in. Make sure you enter the correct password. And then the Dietpi OS will update all its packages. This gonna take a while, so you can wait until the updates is finished. Next, you will be prompted to change the default password. It is recommended for you to do this task. And you also will be prompted if you want to disable the serial monitor or the serial console. If you are unsure on what is serial monitor is, it is safe to disable it. So click OK. Now you are shown screen full of options like tab and Dietpi config. In this screen, you can change any configuration or setting on the Dietpi OS. It is okay if you didn't change anything. You can just use the default setting, and then you can proceed scrolling down to the bottom and click install. Waiting for the software to update. we are successfully installed the Dietpi OS as a pure image. Of course, if you want to change any configuration on the Dietpi OS, you can access the previous screen by entering the command Dietpi software. So you back to this screen, and then you can change any configuration or install any software you want to the Dietpi OS. That's it for the first boot of Dietpi OS.
Next, we are going to do part 5, which is installing LXDE desktop. Do you know what is LXDE means? Before that, I want to share with you guys what is LXDE stand for. LXDE, which stands for Lightweight X11 Desktop Environment, is a desktop environment which is lightweight and fast. It is designed to be user-friendly and slim while keeping the resource usage low. For your information, LXDE uses less RAM and less CPU while being a future-rich desktop environment. Unlike other tightly integrated desktop, LXDE strives to be modular. So, each component can be used independently with few dependencies. This makes porting LXDE to different distribution and platform easier. Firstly, we need to type Dietpi software. After that, wait for it to progress. Then, at Dietpi software, select Dietpi optimized software for installation. Make sure select LXDE at number 23 in the list. Press spacebar to select and click OK. In the Dietpi Auto Start, go to Automatic Login. Choose Root Video 0 User and then click Exit. To install LXDE, go to Install at Dietpi software and click OK to begin. Wait until the installation finish. The window will ask, would you like Dietpi to apply the recommended GPU memory split? Then click OK. After that, click OK also to reboot the system. The system will reboot in 3 seconds. After finish reboot the system, enter command Start X. The Dietpi will reboot and auto start with LXDE desktop environment. This is LXDE desktop. There are Dietpi config, Dietpi launcher, Dietpi software, file manager PCman, and HTOP. Let's move. That's all the steps that we need to install the Dietpi OS on Raspberry Pi 3B+. I hope these steps is clear and you enjoy the video. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye!